Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to some more Let's Play Eye of the Beholder. In the last episode, we finished exploring all of level 6, Tim says, as he realizes he doesn't have his level 7 map in front of him in any way, and I probably still need the level 6 map to navigate myself around successfully on this floor. It is rather confusing. We took on a squadron of Kenku. Not quite enough for them to be an army, but, oh man, there was a lot of them. How many, 20? 25 or so? Kenku? Not all at once, and different waves of them. And it netted us 2 levels, just about on everyone, I think. If we didn't earn 2 levels, that would be our mages who didn't quite earn enough, I think. But I'm pretty sure everyone else gained 2. And they're looking pretty good. That will give us access to level 7 or 6 on most of our characters now, and we'll soon be able to cast level 4 spells, at which point poisons won't be something I have to worry about overly much. We probably upset the Kenku by not killing or destroying their eggs, and instead putting them into their nest, showing that we are not the vicious murderers they believed us to be, and thus sent them into a murderous rage. I guess they had to believe that we were evil adventurers because they had attacked us first. They wouldn't even talk to us down here in this, I suppose, now city of theirs. We dropped a bunch of these nests off, We dropped a bunch of these eggs off in a nest and were rewarded with the Chieftain's Halberd, which I don't know what it does yet. When we finally get an Orb of Power, we will be able to identify a bunch of the items that we currently have on us. What else did we do? We got to see some dark traps. We placed some daggers into various alcoves to unlock a secret area. And we are looking for some more dwarven keys. It occurs to me that we probably need to drop down into this level from above via 1 or 2 pits to actually get some of these keys. Or take a chance in dropping down one of these pits. There's one in this little antechamber and one over here. And we're probably going to want to do that because we found a singular spot where a key can be used at. Let's double back there really quick as we continue to look at our characters. And we summarize what's going on at the moment. With Create Food as something we now can cast, we are no longer going to have very much trouble when it comes to hunger, as long as we have at least one of our 2 clerics up and, well, I was going to say functioning. I suppose we'll still use that term. We won't be starving to death. And this is great because food is a real concern in the game, unless you have a cleric with you. I think I mentioned before that I can't imagine not having a cleric in your party. Like, it's just as if, like, not taking a mage. I'm sure there must be someone out there who's done a challenge mode, bringing, like, only fighters or only thieves with them in this game and winning successfully. I seen a speed run of someone who did this game in, like, 6 minutes. I couldn't believe it. Although I did watch it, I think it was like 2 days ago, and it did show me something that I didn't realize was a way you could actually win the game. So we'll have to chat about that when I begin watching this episode with you guys. Anyway, this lock requires a key, and we have a single dwarven key. Let's use it here. Okay, well that's really kind of a letdown. Is this illusionary? No, it's not illusionary. Okay. Oh! And now we require another key. Alright, well we don't have a second dwarven key, so we'll have to keep our eye open for it. Let's now take a look at our characters. Here's Scavvy. Equipment-wise, I don't really have anything too new to report, other than he is still using the drow cleaver and has this ring of protection +3 on his finger. Anya was resurrected, I think, in the last episode, and we dropped Todd uphill. He rolled very poorly 2 times in a row for hit points, gaining just 3 and 4, even though he's a fighter with like a 16 constitution. So he rolled a 1 and 2 for hit points. This drop drop him. He's trash, despite his 19 dexterity. And we grabbed Anya instead, who we've been monitoring her hit points as she levels. She's not the brightest bulb in the box with intelligence of 5, but she is rather strong, and we don't need her to solve mathematical equations. We need her to bash the head in of enemies that we're fighting. She will absolutely fulfill that purpose. For her, she is using a magical, mace +3 on her, which will do fantastic melee damage, and a dwarven shield, which is also magical, +1, combined with the plate mail, which we found, I think, on this floor, bringing her to armor class of 1, almost as good as Scavy's armor class of 0. Roikvus has no new gear to speak of, nothing magical, but has leveled up, and thus gained a few more spell slots. We did find this wand of magic missiles, which he could use in a pinch. Tagor still has nothing really exciting. His rings are not magical. He has no magical equipment, but he is assisting by throwing these javelins and our very magical daggers. He's also holding on to the chieftain halberd at the moment. I was hoping this would give him reach from the back rank here, the middle rank, to the front rank, but alas, that is something that have been in Legend of Grimrock, and I mistakenly believed it was in this game. Korkorhekis also has no magical gear to speak of except for this ring, which I don't know what it does. I'm guessing it's a ring of Featherfall, and we'll find out if we decide to drop down one of those pits. Finally, there's Alexander, who is taking over for Todd Uphill, using a sling, which I want to say is a sling +2, but no other magic equipment to speak of. Alright, so now with all that chatted about, let's find some place to rest in order to rememorize some spells, and then we will go on downstairs. So I want to head west, actually. Or do I? No, east. Wait. Yes, we want to go east. We want to go back upstairs near the dwarves. Now, there are other bones, corpses you can find here in, or the remains of them, here in the game. And I did mention that I wanted to resurrect all these people at some point, but we may not if Anya ends up being able to hold her own on the front rank. I seem to remember that there's one mage, a paladin, and another fighter in the game. I think the next game has a wider variety of different characters who can join you. And I might have been confusing Todd Uphill for a halfling that you get in the second game, who I think betrays you and steals your stuff, if I recall correctly. In any case, after I'm done resting everyone, I'm going to cut the recording really quick in order to record it in silence again, and I will be back to talk to you guys as we play the game. This will be the, second time, obviously, that I'm doing this, and I have yet to see what you guys think of me doing this. So if this doesn't work out, if you guys don't like this way of me watching it with you guys and talking as the video is playing, and chatting a little bit about what we see on screen and then focusing on other things instead, then I can go back to playing the game normally for the next episode. So please, again, hopefully you guys have let me know what you thought about me playing the game this way. Alright, well, let's go ahead and rest. We'll cast a bunch of our spells really quick. Can't reach. I suppose we might as well put on one more invisibility. You have a shield spell, don't you, Korkorhekis? Let's cast that as well. Get a bless spell going. And one aid. Alright, everyone, and I'll be right back. Alright, everyone, hello! I'm sitting here watching this right along with you guys now. I really like this way of doing things because I can chat most of the time with you guys rather than focusing purely on the gameplay. So I'm probably going to be sticking with this way of doing things from now on. On that note, however, I noticed that in the last video, I was so focused on chatting with you that I missed most of what was going on during the actual game. I had recorded this part once already, and I ended up doing something very similar. I feel like there needs to be some sort of happy medium. I can find where I talk about things that aren't game related with you to fill the time, and yet I also talk with you guys about what's happening on screen. For those of you who are wanting to watch this, I feel like if I talk mostly about the game while playing the game, then there's a large portion of me being frustrated with some of the game mechanics, which in turn makes it sound like I'm hate playing the game, because I end up doing that, which I don't think is enjoyable to watch. Not all the time, because then you get the impression that like I don't like this game, and that's not the case at all. I love Eye of the Beholder. Holy crap! I've been really enjoying the time playing this game again with you guys. But if I don't chat, if I do chat afterwards, then I get to focus my thoughts more, which I think is useful for trying to describe what's going on. So right here, for example, I'm probably looking down at my map, and I'm super confused, because when I walked down those stairs, I expected to be greeted by a drow patrol. And we weren't. We're greeted with 2 shut doors. So Rogvis is looking at the map and shrugging his shoulders. This is on our map. Tagors and Alexander are shaking their heads and being like, this wouldn't lead down to drow areas. We saw it from up above. They'd be down a little deeper, based on, I guess, the what level that we're currently on. How many feet below the ground we are. They like being down even lower than this. And I think I had mentioned that we're going to be needing to possibly drop down pits to get some keys or make some progress, and sure enough, here we go with that. This is a theme for Eye of the Beholder, Legend of Grimrock series especially. Had you, well, not require, but actually maybe it was once or twice, you really want to descend down pits in order to see what treasures are behind them. And in this case, we need this key. There was that one wall, which had a keyhole in it, I think, last episode, and we put a key in it, and it vanished the wall, but then it also provided another keyhole for us, where I'm going to find out very shortly that we need both dwarven keys. We have to drop down both pits to get those keys. It's a very interesting way to progress. I'm guessing it wasn't probably originally like this, or actually maybe it was. Maybe the dwarves put those keys down those pits to stop any normal dwarf from going to retrieve them. This way, the drow area would be permanently sealed off down below. I guess we could use that as the explanation as to how the dwarves were able to exist here for some time without the drow, I suppose, conquering them or making forays against them. They probably had attempted to do so, but then the dwarves sealed that passage off. We briefly saw the drow. Alright, so we just used that key, it vanished that wall, and we need another key. So I know immediately we gotta get down the other pit. A heads up that I would like to just chat about random crap with you guys. I'm just worried that now that I have so much time to focus, that I'll do that for the entire video again. So what I'm going to do is I have a surprise Let's Play that I was going to upload, and I'm going to move the random Tim Thoughts, as it were, to that playlist if you just want to hear me ramble on about things. I felt it would be appropriate for me to play Dungeon Hack, as Master Survival was pointing out to me that my opinion on it doesn't quite... It's a fine opinion, but Dungeon Hack isn't really... It is this type of game. It's displayed as this type of game, but the focus of the game is a roguelike. It's not a party-based role-playing game. And I remember there being all sorts of balance issues with the game, and certain classes being far easier than others. And I figured it'd be fun for me to play the game again and see how right or wrong I was about it. And to my surprise, I liked the game. So, if I was to review it, I would honestly give it a higher score than I originally thought I would give Dungeon Hack. 1 second. What's going on? Okay, so I'm expecting drow down this stairs, which is why we're getting ready. I guess we can go with one of us. Maybe Anya had no, no one else I think went down here for some time. Maybe Tagore, having worked with the obviously being of the dwarves on this hall, knows that the drow are down below, and so is warning us to be prepared for their our eventual encounter with them, which is about to happen. A heads up, a few more things. Well, I'm not gonna get time to do it, but I'm going to interrupt the video during the video to talk, like I think 3 total times, or 4. Once at the very end, twice during the game as I'm lost. I'm trying to explain why I'm not moving, and when we meet the drow, because they're going to have a bit of dialogue for us. Might as well cast invisibilities. All right, guys, save the game again. Don't say the game again. We get those spells again, apparently. Okay. We were a little wounded. Save the game just in case we die. Drow are not easy. Make sure Anya has more hit points. She has less than Scabby to start. I'm expecting magic missiles. Shield gives us a chance for those to miss us and Kokorhekis. We're blessed. I guess we're set. Let's head on down. I know I interrupt this to talk. Give me a few... Here I am. A drow patrol squad stops you from advancing. The patrol leader eyes you with contempt and snarls. Okay, troll bait. Give me one reason why I shouldn't run you to the slave pens. 'Cause you'd be dead? That was awful. Because you'll be too busy being dead was what I probably meant to say, and it didn't come out right. Hold person does not work on them. I love the look of the drow. Although I am a little confused, so perhaps you guys can correct me on this. We're doing really well. That was a misclick, right-clicking on Tagore. The game's really difficult to interact with when spells are being cast. The game kind of, I don't want to say it lags, but I could swear that's the best way to describe it. Especially when there's a sparkly effect on the screen at the time, which I think I covered briefly last episode. So we beat the snot out of those drow. We wouldn't agree to bribe them anyway, not with Tagore in the group. He would probably immediately leave us rather than try to defeat. He would rather probably us die in combat. I don't think the rest of us would probably agree than to not fight the drow who have captured his prince. Now, I thought drow, a squad of drow patrol, would be led by a girl. The drow, to my recollection, are matriarchal in their society. So the leaders of their groups are girls, to my knowledge. I thought that was always the case, but I've not used drow in my role-playing game before. Anyway, this dungeon looks... This level looks a lot, it looks very different than the floor we were just on. Different construction, different materials, different interior decorator, I suppose as well. And I get the feeling that the dwarves from the floors above were never down, well, they were down here, but they did not construct this area. Right now, I'm probably looking at my map, and I'm probably confused about where on earth I'm... Sorry, everyone. Tim here. I don't know where I am on this map. I don't know where I am. Where did I show up? My map doesn't have... Is that where I'm located? Okay, I see where I am now on my map. All right, let's continue. Sorry about that. With a map as complex as what I, the Beholder, probably demands, I should actually redo the maps and color coordinate and color code them with different symbols on different colors, like I did with Legacy of the Ancients, where I have traps marked a different color than treasure chests on the map. I need to do that for this game, and so probably not before I record again, because I would like to record the next episode right after I'm done recording the voice for this one. But I should color code the map, so I have a better understanding of what I'm looking at. There's a bunch of scribbles written all over the map, which I suppose is great thematically, since Roikvis is the one trying to translate it at the moment, and it's just some insane youth's notes from many years ago. Yeah, good job, guys. No problem. The Great Kenku War of the 6th floor really has trained you guys in dealing with just a small handful of drow. You'll note that the drow didn't take any damage from magic missiles we have cast at them. They have magic resistance. And it's not going to be very easy to see here at all. Okay, hopefully that showed you what's going on here. If when you step on any of these pressure plates, a fireball will fly across a very specific series of hallways. As long as you are panicking at the correct time, you should be fine. We do not need a clear scroll of slow poison. Alexander's shaking his head in disgust. He can cast it himself. We don't need that scroll any longer. This would be a good time for a little bit of party banter, where Roikvis and Alexander are discussing the merits of scribing clerical scrolls. If we were an under-leveled cleric, that would probably make sense. We might be happy to find a create food scroll. A single one of them would feed the entire group. But since Roikvis and Alexander are already level 5, that scroll is just dead weight. We can cast that spell. We don't need that scroll. It can stay there, unless we have a pressure plate we want to put it on. Thankfully, the pressure plates in this dungeon seem to be weighted towards anything being placed on them. Krokorhekis is shaking his head. Everything down here is warded, or the mechanisms are so complex that his lockpicks will not be able to function on them. This will be the case for, if I recall correctly, all of the locks from level 4 down, I don't think can be picked. Looking at the map, trying to see where I have to run to. Woo! Oh, just got out of the way of the fireball, only to have a drow patrol. But a fireball will be guaranteed damage. Miss Milf's axe arrows. Okay, Roikvis. Arrows aren't quite... They don't have quite the same weight as daggers do, so that's understandable. Probably some discussion in the group now with Scavvy pointing out the proper angle to use when... I'm sorry, Krokorhekis probably pointing out the proper angle to use when firing... when shooting out to Melf's acid arrow, since he uses a bow so often. Melf's acid arrow and spells like it are interesting for Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition, because they require a hit roll, as if your mage is actually attacking something with a bow. But mages have the worst THAC0 of all the groups. It improves 1 point every 3 levels, if I recall correctly, which means that they don't have a great chance to hit. Which means that spells not... It's more useful for a dual class fighter mage than it would be for a pure mage to use. Healing up after the battle. Alright, so right now I should talk about some random stuff, because I'm running out of things to think about to talk about already in the game itself. I guess, given how lower level some of our characters were to start, I'm imagining not all of them had fought other people before, or humanoids, probably just a few monsters here or there. And now they're professional murderers, mercenaries, as it were. But yeah, we are mercenaries. We've been hired to go down here and find out what the plot is and remove it. And I suppose if that meant killing drow, so be it. Again, I like to think that the original plot was the kobolds and leeches up on the first floor. Quite heavy footsteps for drow as well. Not that I'll complain about knowing where they could possibly be. Oh, just a single guy. Adamantite. So, adamantite weapons are considered magical weapons. And generally, I want to say they're +2 weapons. All Dark Elves create their weapons... all Dark Elves? You'll find it being wielded by... they're not called Dark Elves either. They're called drow. By drow. Their armor is made of it, as well as their shields. It's lightweight, if I recall correctly, and very resilient and magical. Very powerful. And if it's exposed to daylight, it melts, if I recall correctly. I suppose that's one of the reasons why the drow stay to their caves and don't venture outwards very often, aside to make small raids to gather slaves. I don't know why I'm circling that there. Oh, I'm walking as I hear the footsteps walk. I got the pattern down. Has anyone here fought drow before? I don't think any of them would have. We would have been higher level, or more appropriately, I think we would have been prisoners or slaves. I didn't get the impression anyone here was that early on. I am curious as to why there are these non-magical necklaces and rings in the game. I can't imagine. So, normally, a group of adventurers, and in fact, with this group, I'm going to keep these necklaces and rings, because I like to imagine, and they probably are very happy to find them, that this is treasure that they can spend when they're done with this adventure, right? We had that form. Scabby's got that form very carefully and lovingly tucked away in one of his pouches, which gives him and his group permission to leave this area with full authority and claim on any of the loot that they're bringing up out of it. And even though, gameplay-wise, a normal gold necklace maybe with some garnets in it is useless, because it's not magical, and if it's not used in, say, a puzzle, then it's not very useful in this game at all. There would be no shops, for example, to my knowledge, in any of the first 2 games. I have not played the third. Take it, drow! Like a rock in the face. Good job, team. A bit of gameplay stuff as well right now. I know that, realistically, I should probably be using my melee fighters more than any of my others. Alexander's sling is going to do like 3 through 6 damage with a rock when he uses it, as opposed to, what is it? With a high strength, she's doing 6, 7 through like 15 damage with Anya's +3 mace or something like that. So I should always be trying to use Scavvy and Anya when their abilities are off cooldown. And by their abilities, I mean when they can attack again. But I like having everyone contribute. It feels realistic that the whole group is there attacking with all their attacks. And I'm super nervous about this hallway. But apparently we're allowed to be in here. We'll go ahead and grab that healing potion. And that cool-looking gold key. Kokorhekis can hold on to that. See those holes in the wall? These holes look scorched. Fireballs can be flung from those. I don't know why they didn't fire. Maybe they never do. Good job, team. Actually, what we could pretend is that Kokorhekis... Or given their high position in the wall, maybe one of the dwarves just waddled down there to take those items, and the fireballs just never reacted because they're not tall enough. Or if Korkorhekis did it, he was nimble enough not to set them off. I like to think something like that happened here. I do apologize, everyone, for something that's completely out of my control, and that is that as I watch this with you guys, it is difficult for me to tell what's going on when it comes to movement in, like, Legacy of the Ancients. No, I'm sorry. Not Legacy of the Ancients. In Legend of Grimrock. There we go. Too many legends. The smooth movement between the grid, on the grid, it's easy to see what, like, I'm turning to the left, I'm moving forward, I'm moving back, I'm strafing right, I'm strafing left. It's easy to see and is quite fun to watch. Here it's a bit more confusing. Yeah, especially when I move around very quickly like I just did. I'm sorry, everyone, but there's no help for it. Hope for it. There's no help for it either. We have a single key. My map shows that to be a room. A small room. Ooh, another huge patrol. We attacked a little too quickly there. Javelin rock being thrown. Good attempts, guys. Ooh, a little bit of hits. Scabby takes a hit. Oh, and he can't move. So he's just dropped to the ground. Here, hold on to that. Hold on to that, apparently. Once again, there's some pauses as people take damage. And this means that sometimes the game gets a little confused. It's totally the game's fault, not mine. It's absolutely not my fault. Sure, we'll cast prayer. Ooh, yeah, big hit. Their names in red mean that they're poisoned, paralyzed, or debuffed in some fashion. It just occurred to me when they weren't attacking repeatedly, like they just stayed there grayed out, that they're probably paralyzed. So the drow are using poisoned weapons. Poisoned with paralysis venom. We can't cure the poison, or maybe we actually could. But we only have 2 cure poison potions. And since our clerics are not high enough level yet to take neutralize poison, it's too much of a precious commodity to use those potions. I mentioned before, I'll mention it again. I really like the quality of life changes Legend of Grimrock added, where you automatically pick up ranged weaponry that you fired. That necklace, yep, necklace isn't worth anything. Are we going to leave it there, though? I guess we are. This necklace is magical, but I don't know what it does. I still don't see it. I did not see any stat improvement there. We can hear another drow walking around somewhere. I find it odd that their armor makes no sound as they move, but their footsteps are what we hear. Nice! I think I mentioned drow have an innate magic resistance, which is why our spells do no damage to them. But it's not 100%. They're not magic immune, so you can hurt them with spells. It's just not very likely. This is one of the reasons why I... let's be careful with how I word this. I disliked fighting drow amongst the first really difficult. The first enemy I fought in Curse. Nope, phrase it correctly. All right, in Curse of the Azure Bonds, once you're done with the starting area, you get a choice of where you want to go next, and I tended to go after the evil mage next. If you haven't played Curse of Azure Bonds, this will make no sense to you. But if you have played it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And in his employ are drow. And you've probably been relying on magic spells to carry most of your magic spells do a good amount of damage and have a good amount of AoE, and so they can really tilt the battle in your favor, especially when you started Cursed Azure Bonds, which when you transfer characters over to the game, you lose you lose all your equipment when you move them over. So all that incredible gear you had is gone, and so you're working from scratch again. So spells really help make up the difference for the first area that you're fighting in. A well-placed fireball can do a hefty amount of damage compared to what your fighters are doing without their +3 longsword of undead slaying, for example. In any case, fighting drow as a frequent enemy after that starting area is very painful, because you cast a lightning bolt and nothing happens. They're resistant to it. They suffer no damage at all. Oh, speaking of damage and spells and fireballs, we just ate one. Everyone's shouting and screaming. Corkerheckus is shrieking on the ground as they cover him and carry him out there. He has 1 hit point left. 1 hit point left. Thankfully, Cure Light Wound spells take care of burns, so we can get him back up in tip-top shape after a few Cure Light Wound spells. No one suffers any charisma loss after being hit by a spell. Most spells aren't curses or polymorphs, so this will work. Now, you'll note that I tend not to use go ahead and heal the party as an option here. This is because of how this works. So I'm going to say yes this time. If you look down below at what's happening, my clerics get their cure spells, and then I believe the way it works is they target a person, and they cast all of their cure spells on that person. So if that person was down 3 hit points, and that person was targeted by, like, Rolkvus would cast all 5 Cure Light Wound spells on that person, even though 3 of them would heal him. I think that's the way that works. So I tend not to use it, because I don't like the idea of us resting for as long as you saw to heal up, and I'd rather be more efficient with the heals. Realistically, though, gameplay-wise, there's no reason to do that. Our hunger meters are not actually dependent upon... They are dependent upon how long we rest, but I could swear that they're real-time based, not game-time based. Dungeon Hack addresses this quite some bit, but I Beholder, at least this game, we could rest for 80 hours, and the equivalent in real time moving around the dungeon has not elapsed. Only a small fragment of our hunger meter, or sorry, a smaller portion of our hunger meter will have degraded. I don't like seeing there not being any switches on these doors. And that pressure plate has just opened all the doors, and we have... I don't even know what these are called. Skeletal Knights? I don't think they're Death Knights. We scared one of them away with a, Oh, 11 damage! Go correct. A Scabby screaming for assistance. Very good. Screaming medic over here, healing now. He's taking that for us. They are armed with double-handed weapons, right? We saw two-handed. They're using bastard swords or two-handed swords. Oh, that's really painful. A move paralysis scroll could be useful. Protection from 10-foot radius could also be useful. Bit odd to actually take those cleric spells. Another key. We'll just hold on to you. No secrets on the walls was what I was looking for. At least I didn't notice any. At least one of them sees us and is angry. I really enjoy that the clerics automatically turn the undead. You'll note that Scabby is inflicting less damage with his weapons, even though he's stronger than Anya is. This is because he's wielding sharp weapons, edged weapons. Piercing and slashing weapons do not do good damage to undead skeletal targets. That is obviously what we're fighting at the moment. Now that we hit it, any turn undead effect is over. Rather, the turning of the undead effect is over. The effect is only you make them run or you destroy them outright. We don't need another adamantite sword. We'll keep Rookvis hidden as much as we can. He's probably been asking if Korhekis could spend his time doing that since he's so focused on bow using. Since Rookvis only will drop his invisibility when he casts an offensive spell, this lets him heal while remaining invisible. Human bones and a holy symbol. This was likely a cleric at some point. We don't need another cleric. And I know I mentioned earlier that I would resurrect all the people that we found. But I do like this formation. So we probably won't do so unless someone actually drops dead. And that someone will have to be Anya or Tagor. Because I do want to bring Scavi, Rolkvus, Kokorhekas, and Alexander with us to the next game. I'm a little confused. I think I was looking at my map there. I was nervous about that fireball. I don't want to get hit in the face with that again. Nice. Good hit, Anya. Since we killed him from behind, I like to imagine what happened was the mace kill? The mace backstab animation from the Dark Souls games. Alright, I guess we're going to create food. That works. Despite the fact that I think what's going through my head right now is that Anya is paralyzed, but I want to see how long it lasts for. So I'm not removing her paralysis at the moment. This group of adventurers is very much now exactly that. We've fought through a Kenku army, adventured through 5 levels of traps and spires up above, Sagan, Gnolls, and Undead, and we're working better and more cohesively as a squad or team. I like to think that everyone's gaining respect for each other and trust in their ability to handle different situations. Again, there is almost no effect. I don't think there's any party banter in this game. I think in the second Eye of the Beholder that changes. The players will talk to each other on occasion or comment on things which are occurring that we see on screen. But normally in this game that will not happen. Am I lost? Arrows. 3 arrows. I probably should... I'm expecting some of these arrows to be magical, but I don't know if that's the case. So far, none have been magical, and these are not magical either. Neither is our bow, for that matter. Which means that these should not affect creatures that require magical weapons to hit. I don't think there's any of that in this game. Looking at the map, by now I'm probably realizing that there's no place else for us to go but down. We do have one more key. We could try it on a different lock. And I do not remember what's down here. Good heal, Alexander. The Master Forger be praised. Get a shield going. That sounds like spiders to me. And since this is a drow area, that would make sense. We see a marking with a spider on it as well. You might remember that I mentioned that the drow being here would explain why the spiders were on level 4 and 5. They probably flooded those areas with spiders to flush out or kill the dwarves that they had ambushed earlier. We're not picking any more locks. I expected that key to open this door since we saw that work before. So now I'm a little confused. So these locks require different types of keys. We'll just have to find some more of them. I went back the way I just came. I'm looking at the same door at the moment. I'm pretty sure that where we had just literally been. Some probably heated debate right now amongst, well, not heated, but some talk about, can we force this door open? No. Where does it say we're going next? It doesn't say where we go next at all. I'm trying to piece together what someone's notes were about what this maze looks like. Then he realizes that the spider symbol actually means potential illusionary wall, which is what exactly it was, but we can't open that lock either. Anya's probably, I'd like to imagine she's commenting that how little lasting these spell effects are. Nothing on these walls. Actually, lots of things on those walls, but no secret buttons that I can see. We'll try this drow key here. The map shows a singular room on the other side of this, but maybe there's another key of a different sort in that one. We'll try the key. No. So there's another key type we don't have to open these doors. Yeah, we have no more keys on me. I'm thinking now that we did leave a silver key, a metal key, a normal iron key. There we go. That's the proper thing to say. Up a floor. But these seem to be some small subfloors. That is a very scary sound effect. It sounds like an evil heart beating. I love it. I'm actually very nervous at this point because I don't know what's making that sound. I don't remember what's on this floor. The map title, according to Rokvas, says Displacer Halls, which would hint Displacer Beasts, which aren't terribly tough. Can you imagine, what's a Displacer Beast? A Displacer Beast is a panther with tentacles as well on its, shoulders facing forward. Can you imagine if your cat made this sound as it's walking around? I did not like Scavvy having 81 out of 80 hit points. I was worried about a bug, which is why I cured that. 1 key for 1 gem. We found a red gem. And we have an extra red gem that we never spent from way up above in the Sagan controlled areas where the gnolls were as well, or Flynn's were as well. Although Tagor is probably like, go ahead and use it, lad. We gotta make some progress down here opening these doors. Let's see what key we get. Scabby's looking at that ruby, thinking, man, this is like 5 months of just rest and relaxation for everyone in this group right now, Tagor. I really don't want to be using this to open a door and fight some horrible monster. This is our reward for winning this dungeon, as it were. Coming out of here with something besides our hides. Well, we'll at least place one of our gems. And we do get a jeweled key, an emerald and a ruby in it. Where do I want to use that key? Do I want to use it there, though? I don't think I'm sure where I want to use this at the moment. Some discussion if we should even use it. Well, we're using it. A stairs that goes up. Well, I guess we're taking it. The only place we haven't been. One of the only places I can think of that we have to go to still. And all we have up here is another key. Okay. A drow key. Could try that in another door. We know that doesn't work with the door behind the illusionary wall, though. Alexander's probably nudging Rolkvus, asking if the map shows what doors require which keys. He's shaking his head and saying, nope. Generally, the layout of the dungeons is given, with some brief markings. The upper levels were far more detailed than the lower ones. The lock appears jammed, so we're not interacting with that lock anymore. Not that I would want to. That's one gem for one key, not one key for one gem. And I don't apparently even try the drow key in that other spider lock. Okay. Two things, good things about watching this with you guys. Number one, I had some audio tearing in this video, which I fixed. Audio, I guess we'll talk about this really briefly. Audio tearing is when the video, or this is what I call it. It's probably not what what's actually called. Is when the audio and the video don't sync up correctly. Sometimes the game will not pause, but it will. I don't know another way to describe it. When the copy protection window pops up, the game is acts a bit odd at that point with how the recording ends up working. And the game's recording will assume no time elapsed, no matter how long that window was up, compared to when the video starts again. And this means that if I was sitting there for 5 minutes before I said anything, on the video, the audio would be delayed by 5 minutes. And that requires me recognizing what's going on and then fixing it. I'm lazy sometimes when it comes to uploading videos to the YouTube, and so sometimes I don't notice it. I do try to watch a few minutes of my videos, and the beginning, the end, and the middle portions of them, to make sure that everything looks like it's matched up correctly. But there have been a few times, especially with my older series, most of them have been deleted by now, where I didn't check, and there was audio tearing. And of course, that's really noticeable and a really bad thing when it happens. We found another free arrow, which Kukorhekis took. Oh, patrols. Where did these guys come from? We've already cleared this area out, I thought, of enemies. Pretty sure we can get by just using weaponry and no spells are needed. When the drow is attacking, when the animation is started, I cannot actually interact with any of my characters. Once again, I feel this is important, because if you guys think I'm hesitating because I'm watching the combat, I'm not. Actually, and speaking of that, I really like watching this with you guys for another reason. I get to watch what actually is happening. When I'm playing the game, when combat is starting, I'm looking at where my cursor is, so I can make sure I'm clicking on characters to have them attack. At the same time, I'm briefly, ever so slightly in my peripheral vision, trying to notice where I can move to, so I can avoid the enemy's attack. But I'm not actually watching the animations, so it's fun to watch this with you guys, because I actually get to see the amount of work that went into them. I think they did a good job, to be quite honest here. And, okay, I see what I'm doing. I'm out of places I think I can go to, so we have a pit here. You know what that means. We're dropping down that pit. On the off chance it matters how I get down there, we'll do it from this space. 2d6 worth of damage. Or maybe even 3. Oh, God, that's a hellhound. Easily recognizable by the sound of it moving. Yo, all dogs sound like this. Okay, no, dogs don't sound like that. Something else is making that sound effect. I thought that was the dog we were hearing. Its limbs creaking. Can you imagine if your really adorable pet beagle made that sound as it runs up to lick you in the face? Oh, man. That reminds me of the manual for The Legend of Black Silver, in which the hero in the manual dies to a blood puppy, if I remember correctly. It's an adorable dog, which the guy let walk up to him and began licking him in the face. And what he didn't realize is that the tongue of this dog is like razor sharp, like razor blades, and you don't even feel the cuts it's making on you as it proceeds to lick your face more and more to lap up the blood that's now on it. What an awful way to die. There was no kidding around back then when I was a kid. I remember, my goodness, the really crazy, creepy fairy tale book of, like, Eastern European fairy tales. That was just, God, the drawings were terrifying. The stories were pretty creepy, too, back then. My goodness. Well, what else was around back then that I got to watch when I was a kid that I should never have watched? The Storyteller? That was a Jim Henson production. That was some creepy stuff that happened there, too. Very surreal show, that one. My parents let us watch Unico without realizing what that was like. Of course, they weren't around to watch it with us. That was messed up. The Raggedy Ann and Ann cartoon was messed up. The goop? You never forget this crap, because it's nightmarish. Absolutely nightmarish, the crap that we had to watch. We watched when we were kids. I'd like to think that's why we're as tough as we are. My God, but kids these days, you guys who grew up with the internet, you've had access to some of the worst of it all. You can watch whatever nightmarish garbage you want at a moment's notice whenever you want it. Man. There must be... Oh, you know, that was one... That was... as long as I'm talking about these shows, I never did watch... what's it called? The Adventures of Mark Twain? Which has a really great scene with the devil in it. I thought it was incredibly well drawn. Never watched it well animated. Never watched it as a child. But I got to watch it up here on the YouTube about, like, 6 years ago or so. Man, that was really well done. Anyway, back to the game. So, fell down, took some hits from the pits, killed the Hellhound. We see a teleporter. I think we fell down twice? I think we fell down twice. I accidentally walked into the teleporter, so we had to fall back down here again, because I saw a door we could open. Now we're all healed up. Changing my mind about what I want. Oh, all 5 Cure Light Wound spells, apparently. Alexander. Some blesses, protection from evil. That's good. Oop, I forgot to rest. I hit the button by accident, interrupted it. Alright. I like the idea of Rookvis being the party's healer who can't be targeted by enemies, which is why I give him just a cure spells. I think it was 3.5? Or maybe there was a modified 2, which added a cure moderate wounds at level 2 to clerics to give them just any other type of heal in the game. For my own game, I had fixed numbers for my heals. And more heal spells for different types of clerics at different times. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it. I don't think I did. But I'm going to be doing more of a podcast type stream after watching the last video, which ended up being that. But I'm not going to do it for the Eye of the Beholder series. I'm going to record Dungeon Hack. And I will be talking about Dungeon Hack there. And then, when I'm done talking about Dungeon Hack, I'll go ahead and just talk about random Dungeons & Dragons things over there. So if you want to hear more of what the last video was like, almost exclusively, which is to say, just me talking about random crap and not the game we're actually playing, I would recommend going over there to watch me play Dungeon Hack. I plan to upload the first one of them on Monday. I've already recorded 3 videos of it, so I've got 3 hours of Dungeon Hack ready to go. And I think it would be fun for us to see what that game was like and remember what it was like. I might have mentioned that it's a lot more fun than I thought it was, which is to say that I remember it being. I'm not tired of it yet, which is good, considering that some of the other games I've played when I was young, I got, in particular, the Atari games I used to play. Not a whole lot of gameplay there. Now, that was, by the way, let me focus back on the game, that was our second Drider that we've now seen. They are drow, top half of a human, bottom half of a spider. Yep. That would explain the creepy creaking we're hearing. Oh. Good job. Thankfully, they're not using poisoned weapons. I can't remember. I mean, drow are not a... I don't think drow are a naturally occurring creature. I thought they used bows, not javelins. And but then again, I don't think in this game there's very many creatures that try to remain at ranged. Everything tends to rush you. Even things that are spellcasters. Thankfully they're not using poison javelins. There's no paralysis, or at least we resisted the poison. There's no paralysis that seems to be part of them either at the moment. We can hear more of them up here. Let's be careful as we venture forward, guys. Yeah, we hear the creepy creaking. Hopefully it is just Driders, because they seem like they're less scary than the giant Black Widows, or whatever they were, up on floor 4. I think I'm confused about where I'm located, and so I'm trying to look at my map to figure it out. I might actually interrupt us soon. I think this was the spot where I'm looking at the wrong level. I think I'm looking at level 8 or 9, and I'm on level 8. Yeah. I think I'm going to go into a corner very soon and just stay there and explain what's happening on screen to you guys. Whenever a door shuts behind me, I'm suspicious of teleporters and rotator traps in that hallway. Where is this? So much pressure on Roykvist to translate this map correctly, since we're relying on it so much to guide us through this dungeon. I think I had beaten Eye of the Beholder once, at least once, before I made the map the second time through. And I did that with my Legacy of the Ancients game and Legend of Black Silver as well. I played through the game at least one time completely without making a map. Which, God, it's so confusing and done on purpose. I love it. I really love having to make my own maps. Sorry, everyone. I'm staring at my map trying to figure out where I am. And I've been looking at level 9, and that's not where we are. We're on level 8. And I think I see where we are. Okay, let's pick back up. Unlike Legend of Black Silver or Legacy of the Ancients, though, we do have a bunch of crap in our inventory that I could just drop on the ground to help mark places I've been to, for example. I probably should consider doing that to leave a trail. We're going to get a ton of javelins up ahead. Or, they're actually called spears. really swole looking guy, isn't it? He's got a big lower lip, too, going on him. He's really proud of the dinner he eats a lot to get that pot belly going on him. Then again, I guess when you have the lower body of a spider, you don't really care very much. Attracting the ladies a whole lot anymore. I guess the ladies is what made them that way to begin with, I'm pretty sure. If I remember Drow Society... Oh, remember Drow Society? Not like I ever walked in there before. I never used Drow much. My own world was heavily modified. I'll talk more about that over in the Dungeon Hack Let's Play that I plan to upload. But, yeah, my own world was heavily modified and didn't use all the races from Standard Dungeons & Dragons either. I think I had dwarves, halflings, elves, orcs, and humans were the races, like the intelligent speaking races in the world originally. Oh, though fairies were there as well, though not many people had seen them. Other races got introduced for the recent campaign I'm playing these days, as over, I think, like 600 or 700 years have elapsed since the last adventurers had been present in my world. A Scepter of Kingly Might. I don't know what that does. You know what? While I'm looking up here, let's look. A Scepter of Kingly Might. Eye of the Beholder. It's apparently not even written down. I did look up, by the way. I did look up the Chieftain's Halberd. It's a +5 weapon. And the Drow Cleaver is a +3 weapon. I don't consider this cheating, because if we had an actual character sheet instead of what we have with our characters... Oh, this is funny. I get confused several times about which direction I'm facing. I get turned... We're stuck here forever. You know, these hallways remind me of that one reverse hallway from, what was it? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Anyway, I don't consider it cheating looking up the stats for these weapons, because if we had an actual character sheet, that would tell us. Because we could look at our THAC0, and we could see that it was improved by 3 points. For example, for the Drow... Well, 1 point normally. But given Drow Cleaver, I would assume it does more damage with a higher chance to hit against Drow. And the Chieftain's Halberd would show us that it improves our THAC0 by 5 points. And thus we could make the assumption that it is a +5 weapon. Yeah, I don't see what what that scepter is. What does that do? Okay, so according to the internet from 13 years ago... Oh my god. Windows, I hate you for popping up the... We have to reboot your computer right now. No, please don't do that. I've just recorded an hour's worth of audio that I have to redo if you decide that you know best for me. I hate you so much, Windows. And whoever decided that they know when it is best to interrupt you and have your computer do something that you don't want it to do should be fired. They don't know what's going on, and they should never say that and never control your computer on you. It's my hardware. I put this together. You don't get to decide when it gets rebooted. Screw you. Alright, that's enough of that. Let's go back to the game. So we see a hole in the wall. Tagore and Alexander are arguing over what comes out of it. Magic missiles or fireballs. Lokva says it's definitely one of them based on the map, and we decide not to take that path. Hellhounds. A bit tricky, I think. I think they do fire damage, but we don't have a resist fire in this game. Oh! 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 Another Drider! I like to think that he just levitates a javelin and throws it at us, because he doesn't actually rear back before he throws a javelin. It just comes out of him. Although, like, I suppose that's what he sees when we're attacking him, too. He sees our characters just standing there, and suddenly, like, a rock and an arrow flies at him. Nice. Good work, guys. Killed that guy before you even got to throw a javelin. Well done. I'm missing a dagger, I see. I wonder when I noticed that it was missing. Or if I did yet. I probably have. I do recall being really confused about it, checking my character's inventories, and then finding it as a double back for it later. So don't worry, we will pick up. It was either backbiter? Backstabber. Backstabber or Ginsu. I think it's Backstabber left behind somewhere. Just to be sure we don't get snuck up on. Like to think that's Kokor Hekis's influence. Paranoid that someone's sneaking up, watching him. Okay, we're gonna cast spells. Step out. Let's do it. Ooh. This with the most acid arrow. I don't know why I even fired that. No, don't even memorize it. It's not a good spell. Well, it's better on Rokvas than it is. The argument that it is on even Kokor Hekis. Clerics have a better Thaco than thieves have. Nice. Good job, guys. Is that it? Alright, that's all of them. Not very useful. Guess we'll cast it now. Some boots. Drow boots. I think those are supposed to be used for a thief. It doesn't improve your armor class at all, but I think it lowers your, the sounds you make. Not that that will matter in this game series. They also look pretty cool. I think Kokor Hekis has like a 15 charisma, so he's probably all about looking cool. It's a fashion eye of the beholder. Fashion beholder. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Yes. Thus, it's important that he looks cool. And I think, everyone, we're about done with this episode. I think I'm going to mention that I want another video at the end of this to show off another game, but I'm out of games. I don't have any other game that could possibly fit the bill with the exception of The Legend of Grimrock. And we already know what Legend of Grimrock is. I have a few Let's Plays of that on my channel. And so if that's one of the videos that we go for later for another party-based dungeon crawling game, I don't need to show that off to show you that if it would work or not, because it absolutely would. We'll probably play through Legend of Grimrock 2 as another one of these types of games. So Starcrawlers, Legend of Grimrock 2, and then we'll see how many people have yet to be added to an adventuring group, and decide then for another game. As long as I'm babbling about that, because we're at the end of the video, everyone. I will be playing through Ogre Battle 64. Don't worry, Adorkable. We will absolutely play through that game together. And if you're interested in playing through that game, I'm going to have a part interested in being in that game. There'll be another part 0 where I ask for who wants to be in that game as well, and ask what class you want to be. If you've never seen that game before, it's similar to like Felseer Arbiter's Mark, but there'll be even more people in it. It's an auto battler. There'll be like 50 or 60 different people we can have, and so we can have a ton of people present in it. And I think I'm about to unmute myself to end the video any second now. Or maybe... Right now I'm busy putting, apparently, spears on the wall to track areas I've been for some reason. I'm going to walk back here, see the dagger, pick it up, put it in Tagora's inventory, do a tiny bit more inventory maintenance, and then I'm back to end the video. And Dan Bush and Methojohn, I will talk to your points about 5th edition, as well as babble on more about 2nd edition, what have you, over in the Dungeon Hack series. Because I'm probably not going to get to it in this one. I forgot in this episode. I'm probably be too distracted by what's happening on screen in the next one. And I think I'm about to end any second now. So thank you guys for watching. I'll say that in advance. Thank you guys very much for watching this. Hopefully it was enjoyable, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one as I begin to pop back on to tell you guys about what happened, any particular thing of note I remember during this episode while playing it. Alright, guys. I think that will do it. I think we've been playing for about an hour. We got through, I think, most of floor 7. But some areas are still sealed off to us until we get more jeweled keys. I did not forget that we have another gem on Scavvy to get another gemmed jeweled key, but I want to hold off giving it there. Maybe we can use, for no other reason than when I play a game like this, which I often did in Dungeon Hack, I would try to hold on to all the keys that had gems or jewelry in it. Yeah, didn't do anything for you, but I like the idea that my adventurers walked out of the dungeon, or my single adventure in the case of that game, with treasure besides just magic equipment, like actual jewels and gems or coins and stuff like that. So I want to kind of hold on to this unless I absolutely must use it for a jeweled key. You could have used this gem an age ago back on level 3, so it shouldn't be required to get more jeweled keys, unless I've messed up where we used the jeweled keys. I don't think it's possible to do that, but maybe it is. In any case, we're going to stop here, and thank you guys for watching, and I will see if I can put together one more small video at the end of this one to show another dungeon crawly type of game. There may not be anything else, though, because I'm basically out of games that are new that I was trying to see if